I wanted to come to you guys with a quick message for anyone and everyone who's ever been in sales. One of the things that we run through as salespeople is we have highs and lows. And you can sit there and you can measure your output. You can measure your production through your calls, the times that you're talking to people, the appointments that you set. However, one thing that you will experience could be a lack of sales at any given time. And when you're experiencing a lack of sales, and it doesn't matter if you've been doing this for 3 days, 3 hours, or 3 years, you can experience this at any given time. And the point of this message is, number one, I'm a guy who does not like to speak on this subject when I am not currently doing well. So after a good day and selling more in a day than some agents sell in a week, I would like to come and speak on this for a few minutes here. And I'll keep this short, but I just want to say that, it's very humbling to a salesperson who has been doing sales for really a long time. It could be measured in a decade or more of experience in sales. And then to not only be in sales, but to be in the same industry for several years and have sold thousands of people and had tens of thousands of conversations. Well, at least over 10,000 conversations, and done thousands of presentations to get those couple thousand sales. Sometimes make 4 or 5 sales in a day, sometimes make 30, 40, 50, 60 sales in a month, make hundreds of sales per year. And then before you know it, you've arrived at 2,000 sales. And when you've gotten to that point, you obviously have seen pretty much the same thing repetitively over and over and over. And if you're a salesperson, you'll realize that you're going to run into some low-hanging fruit. There's a tree right here behind me in the picture. And if you could just reach up and grab a piece of fruit off of it, that would be pretty easy. And sometimes the mango is going to fall off the tree and onto the ground, and you just got to pick it up and grab it and take a bite out of it. And that's what we call a lay down or an easy sale. And everyone gets those. It doesn't matter who you are. And we don't always admit it. When we make that sale, we'll just say, hey, I made a sale. And you take that sale and you have a great week. And if you're already going to put in the work for that week and then you get that amazing sale, it really just makes you have an amazing week. And when you have an amazing week, sometimes you maybe don't do, or you take your foot off the gas, or there's something that could be successful that you drop out. And specifically what I mean is perhaps the presentation. Let's say that you're talking to somebody on the phone and they give you a lot of reasons why they can't do it. And that's always going to be the case. I mean, anytime I've ever had a presentation, if it was the perfect presentation, you may not get a single objection. And they might be in the perfect position where they're like, I am ready. I just needed somebody to walk me through the steps and close that transaction. And if you have a couple of those too frequent, you will drop out what we call a jump 50-50 ball. There's a chance that you could get it. There's a chance that you don't. But it's the skill of the salesperson that's going to come into play. So whether you have the proper desire, the intention, if we look up intention, this is the most important word that I could ever have you look at when it comes to making a sale. Intention is defined in the Oxford Dictionary as a thing intended, an aim, or a plan. But if we look at intend, it comes from the derivation of Old French intention, from Latin intentio, stretching purpose, from intendere, intend. And if we look at intend, the definition is to stretch toward or extend toward something. So when I look at that, I look at it as more than just reading a script. Right now, this is something that's been successful for me, is I have our team's script written by our manager that I'm on his team right here in front of me. The most important thing we can have is intention, which is the desire to stretch towards something, to reach out, to extend ourselves. So it's very easy to sit and read a script and to just do the basic actions that are required, which surprisingly enough, you'll talk to the managers and they'll say that the majority of the battle is to show up, because if you can show up, then we can at least work with that individual to do the necessary actions that are required. There's never just one action. The primary action, of course, that we have trouble with in a 1099 business is just get the person to show up. And we won't go into that deeply here, but if you just at least show up and put in that time, it's then going to come down to what am I doing with the time that I have, that I'm giving to this. And you can sit and you can have 3 monitors like me. And on one side, you could be playing the latest show that's on Netflix, Amazon, Paramount. There's so many options. It's unreal. And I can make calls and listen to a show. But where is the intention? Where is my focus? And when you confront, which is to face or perceive something comfortably. So if we look at confront, and I'm just going to quickly brush on this because you guys will never look this up. No one's ever going to tell you to look it up. I'm probably the first person who's ever done this for you. Confront is to deal with a situation, to face something, a problem or difficult situation. And it comes from the derivation of the 1500s, French, confronter, medieval Latin, confrontare, from Latin con, which means with, plus frans, which means face, to face with, to face it, to deal with it, to perceive it, to understand it. So when you're confronting a person, the phone they just answered, and telesales, you have seconds, not even really seconds, they're waiting, they're listening. They don't even say hello. They're waiting to hear your voice say, "Hi, John." Yeah. "Hey, John, this is James over at Senior Life Services. I was giving you a quick call back here from the other day. You'd spoken on the phone with one of our representatives on the phone. It had to do with some coverage you were thinking about leaving for your daughter. You said your favorite color is blue. Does that ring a bell?" "Yes." "Excellent. Now, John, I just wanted to ask you, were you looking for information for yourself, a loved one, or you and a loved one?" "Myself," is what they're going to say 90% of the time. And the beauty of this is anyone who's done this for a lengthy period of time, we've got some fantastic experience here at the office, James, Grant, Justin, and they've taken things from other people, whether they admit it or not. Obviously, Rory, I mean, we don't have to say his name, but it goes without saying Rory, but Henry Stewart and others have led to maybe give a nugget, a golden nugget to these individuals that they've taken. Maybe they've taken several golden nuggets and put them together and then made them their own. And then now, before you know it, we have a script from telesales and a script from Justin and a script from Stewart and a script from McKinney and a script from Coles. And that's why they have their own teams and they do well. And as long as they're doing well, that's all that's really going to matter. If you're sticking to the baseline message and you're doing what we ask you to do, then we will let you continue to do what you're doing that's working for you as long as you're growing. Because growth is survival, especially in insurance. And if you're not growing, there's no such thing as staying the same. Staying the same is actually a level that's going to bring you down. So you have to grow, especially in insurance, in order to survive. And we don't talk about survive as just I'm getting by, as like, I'm living, but we're talking about survive as in truly growing and living. I mean, it's to continue to exist, especially in spite of danger or hardship. A lot of people think of it as like a bare minimum type of situation, but we mean survive is like late Latin from old French, severe, from Latin, supervivere, from super, in addition to, plus vere, live. So to live in addition. A lot of people think of this as like when they hear survive, they're like, yeah, I'm just getting by. Survive truly means to be in abundance, to have additional, if you have one set of groceries. That's not going to last very long. You have to have more. You have to have more than you need in order to survive. So I just wanted to say that when you're having a bad time, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at what you're doing. You have to look at your processes and see, what am I not putting into this? Am I just reading the black and white on the page? Or am I truly putting my intention, the way that I'm speaking to you now, my intention into you, my ability to communicate to you and bring out the emotion in the individual, which is going to be the difference between you and Bob down the street that your customer bought their policy from last week because you failed to follow up with them or you failed to close that person. And I'll say this about those failures is that you give it everything you have and know, hey, look, at the end of that call, I gave it everything I had. I was professional. I was respectful. I was ethical and honest about what we have. I did my job properly. I used my coach. I looked at the underwriting. I know for a fact, Mary, that I got you the best plan that's available in the United States of America. We only use the best. There is not a better option than what I'm giving you right now. The value of speaking with me is that I can actually look at over 30 different options. And I took a note of this today, and I'm just going to read the exact note from it, okay? Because I was having a tough time and I needed to make a little tweak to my game, because when something's not working, you have to change. Obviously, insanity, doing the same thing over and over, is going to bring about the same results. That is insanity, right? So you bypass, you change, you go around, you bypass, you go around the normal habits and routines, right? So when you look at it, you say, listen, there's going to be over 30 different companies that we have the opportunity to take a look at today. We want to make sure that you have something that really does make sense for you. To be able to determine which one that's going to be, do you have any medical diagnoses or ailments in the past? Because all these people are like, just give me a price, like, just give me the quote, I'm calling for a quote. It's like, listen, have you seen those different programs that are on TV that you get in the mail? Yeah, I've seen them. What do you think about them? Some people will just tell you, I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't think it's much of anything. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. And you're right. And the difference between us and what you're constantly seeing on TV, I think I hear it in the background right now, a commercial. The difference is that this is permanent. This is going to stay the same. If we're going with Pioneer, you don't have to pay this price forever. You guys don't know this. We don't talk about this. No one teaches you this, but did you know that you don't have to pay this forever? No, what do you mean? Well, you're 72. Let's say you're 86 and you're like, my gosh, I've been paying on this policy for years, like over a decade now. I don't want to keep doing that. You could call the company and tell them, hey, I don't want to keep making these payments. They'll give you a reduced option. Whoa, reduced. What did he just say? Reduced option. It just simply means that, hey, we'll give you, we'll give you something, but you don't have to make payments anymore. That's all you got to tell the client. It's the truth. It's called reduced paid up. Look it up. Google it. Look it up right now. Stop right now. Let's just look it up. Super fast. Reduced. Just type in Google. Reduced paid up insurance. What does that mean? It's a reduced paid up insurance. Lets you exchange your whole life policy for a reduced guaranteed death benefit that doesn't require monthly payments. This type of insurance policy is ideal if you've built a steady amount of cash value in your whole life insurance policy and no longer want or can't afford to pay your monthly premiums. So a lot of people will try to do some math. They all of a sudden become this mathematician and guru who's like, yeah, man, if I just saved $100 a month for 10 years, I'd have a $10,000 policy. And you're like, well, respectfully, and you want to say, this is what we want to say. Well, how much have you saved up so far? Well, I've got 10 grand. Okay. Well, would you rather your savings pay for it or a policy? And this is where a genuine conversation comes into play. This is the game. This is what we do. This is why we exist. The guy's 72 years old. Sir, if you don't mind me asking, What prompted you to go for this now? I mean, you're 72. Well, I've already got life insurance. Excellent. Well, why would you want to get more now? If you don't mind me asking, just, but why now? Well, my brother passed away in May, and it was 10 grand, and he did a cremation, but we did a memorial service, a viewing, and it was $10,000. And luckily he had insurance, but I realized, well, I don't have insurance, or I don't really have enough. So I need to make sure that I do. And that's why we're on the phone right now. So anyway, the major point here, it's been a long day. It's midnight now. It's time for me to get out of here. But I just wanted to communicate that the way I'm speaking to you now is the intention and desire to get the job done at all costs to help this person. These people all requested it. They all requested it. So we want to get them to admit that they did fill it out. And if they don't admit it, just go through the steps. For example, let's just say I wrote this down. Let's just say they said, I never filled anything out. No worries, John. We actually find that family members fill these things out for loved ones from time to time. Looks like we have your date of birth listed here as 8/10/1962. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll continue. Just go on with your presentation. Don't let that throw you off. This is vital. There's a laundry list of objections here, and I'm actually going to just run through them super fast for you. Okay. So here we go.